With a few exceptions, there is not much to show for it on the ground. Neither has the members to show these results been consistent in pointing towards sustainability. I am reliably informed that 50% of IFAD global investments are in Africa. We are all aware that while IFAD is an international finance institution, it is also a United Nations agency. As I said earlier, it's a very strong member of the United Nations country team here in Addis Ababa. We may not be aware that over the last few decades, when many development agencies shied away from investments in agriculture, IFAD remained faithfully working and investing in the smallholder agricultural sector, and especially working with the rural poor. It is also true that IFAD's focus on the poorest segment of our rural society, small farmers, the rural landless, nomadic pastoralists, artisanal fishermen, and across all these groups, poor rural women, in itself presents enormous challenges. However, we are also aware that these challenges must be met if poverty is to be drastically reduced and eliminated from our midst. It is agencies such as IFAD that provide new ways to reach the poor while continuously exploring new and sustainable solutions to the challenges. In this process, however, and most importantly, the poor themselves must be given the means and the opportunity to play the pivotal role in the development process. Implicit in these challenges is the ability to assess the impact of these efforts to eradicate poverty and to achieve sustainable and measurable impact. We are also aware that achieving better impact through development projects and programs depends not only on the intrinsic merit of the project, but also on global market conditions, on government policies, and commitment to poverty eradication, on the performance of implementation partners, and on the characteristics and commitment of the rural poor themselves. Within this framework, IFAD has an important role to play. We have witnessed this in the poverty report released 2 years ago, 2010. The issue is, therefore, how to make the best use of IFAD resources and capabilities in order to maximize its impact on rural communities on a sustainable basis and in the smartest and most efficient and effective way, while providing lessons and pointers for scaling up what works across geographical space. It is obvious, however, that IFAD can never do this alone. Therefore, strategic partnerships are likely to be the key to the success of your work, especially in Ethiopia, where we have the majority of people living in the rural communities. The UN family stand firm to support your work. And like I said, Robson is a very key member of our team, and he is very supportive of every member of the team. And IFAD has excellent experience in dealing with the poorest of the poor, so we also depend on his leadership in that area. The UN family stand firm to support your work. We have great collaboration frameworks across the board, and the latest being the women empowerment within the framework of UNDAF and the One UN family and delivering as one, and where IFAD will continue to play a significant role. Thus, the theme of your workshop, which is sustaining outcomes and impacts, is relevant at this point. Africa is faced with enormous challenges, and yet it carries with it the most promising potential to feed not only itself, but the whole world. consistently high economic growth rates in most African states are just an example of the new commitment to sustain growth on the continent, and agriculture is one of the key drivers of that growth. Ladies and gentlemen, I am informed that 17 countries from East and Southern Africa are represented here, including Africa's youngest nation, South Sudan. As resident coordinator of the UN system in Ethiopia, I welcome you all to this very important gathering and hope that you will come up with concrete recommendations and actions plans that will enhance our drive to move millions of Africans out of poverty on a sustainable basis, unquote. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before I take my seat, I want to also seize this opportunity again to welcome all of you to this beautiful city of Addis Ababa, New Flower. And I remember that the last time we had this kind of regional meeting here was 2000, after Bulawayo. So I don't know where you go next, but enjoy while you are here, and I wish you a very successful celebration. Thank you very much.
I thank Mr. Pertin Saint-Eng, Director for East and Southern Africa, Honorable Mr. Robson Mutambi, Director and Country Representative for Ethiopia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you here to Addis Ababa and to IFAD East and Southern Africa Regional Implementation Workshop. This workshop is organized under the theme Sustaining Impact and for accelerated poverty reduction. On behalf of the Minister of Agriculture and that of my own behalf, I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the International Fund for Agricultural Development, both the headquarters and the country office, for organizing this special event in Ethiopia. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend my appreciation to the implementing institutions and development partners in the Eastern and Southern Africa sub-region for having demonstrated their commitments by releasing their key staffs to attend this important workshop. Distinguished workshop participants, ladies and gentlemen, as we are aware, the reality in most of the developing countries is that smallholder agriculture remains the source of livelihood and the food supply for the majority of the population. In this regard, while we can scale up what has worked well and learn from successful models, a lot more remains to be done. We cannot, for instance, talk of sustaining production level if we continue to depend solely on rain-fed agriculture. In order to break this vicious cycle of drought and famine that afflicts large parts of our continent, we will have to intensify irrigation while managing the water resource sector. It is equally important that we ensure farmers access to essential inputs like fertilizer, improved seeds, professional advice, as well as market for their produce. Similarly, we need to invest more in research and new technologies to raise production for value addition, especially that of staple food crops. At the same time, we must make sufficient resources available to strengthen rural financial systems for farmers. It is gratifying to note that there is a growing number of success stories of small farmers in Ethiopia and elsewhere in Eastern and Southern Africa region. This clearly demonstrates that if it is possible to eliminate the unacceptable tragedy of malnourished and starving people. However, whatever efforts we make to address our problems and to cope with the challenges, our success will be limited unless our efforts are supported by the necessary financial flows from our development partners. I mean financial flows, it should be in concurrence with the Paris Declaration on Aid Effectiveness, which acknowledges government ownership and the leadership of the program, aligning and harmonizing efforts with the program policies and the projects of that particular country, and also coordinating efforts without duplicating resource efforts and resource misuse. And whatever we do, it should be mutually accountable. Whatever we do, either failure or success, it should be mutually accountable for the success or the failure that we are intending to. And not